Thank you, everyone, and good evening. My name's Patrick Hall. I'm the Mayor of the City of Canning. I'd like to welcome you to this evening's agenda briefing. The time is just after 6 p.m. on Tuesday, the 22nd of July, 2025. I declare the meeting open officially and acknowledge the Whaleback people, the traditional custodians of the land, and we pay our respects to elders both past and present. In accordance with City of Canning Policy CMO 105, agenda briefings are conducted to provide elected members with a forum to ask questions of the administration to enable informed decision making. Agenda briefings are not decision making forums. Questions may be asked and answered, but no debate or discussion is permitted. Questions must specifically relate to an item on tonight's agenda. Elected members' employees must disclose any financial proximity or partiality interest that they have in an item on the agenda and declare that interest at the commencement of the briefing or at the latest when the item is about to be discussed. Financial proximity and impartiality interests are disclosed in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government Act of 1995 as they apply to council meetings. And elected members disclosing either a financial or proximity interest must not participate in that part of a briefing relating to their interest and must leave the meeting for the duration of the item. Agenda briefings are open to the public, and this briefing is being live streamed to the public via the city's YouTube channel. And lastly, please ensure that your mobile phones are turned off or at least on silent for the duration of this meeting. Thank you. We shall move on to item 2, which is attendances. As far as apologies go at item 2.1, Councillors Steve Parkinson and Councillor Michelle Hearn are unable to join us this evening and have both tendered an apology. Item 2.2, approved leave of absence. There are none. Disclosures of interest at item 3. CEO, do we have any disclosures this evening?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. In relation to item 3.1, declarations of financial interest, I've received none. In relation to item 3.2, declarations of impartiality, I've received 2 for tonight's meeting. The first from Deputy Mayor Bain in relation to IE 01225. The item detail is the request for the installation of a bench and commemorative plaque, Fern, Cove Park, Wilson, from Russell Gorton for Terry and Gay Gorton. The nature of his association is a councillor, the deputy mayor met and became acquainted with Mrs. Gorton. And I've received a further declaration of interest of impartiality from Mayor Patrick Hall in relation to item OC 010 of 25. The report title is the appointment of independent audit risk. The nature of his interest is the nominated proposed audit chair, Colin Murphy, resides in the street I live. I know Colin and I have also sat on the WALGA Finance Committee with him. That's the end of the interest for tonight's meeting.
Thank you, CEO. At item 4, question time for the public. At item 4.1, response to previous questions taken on notices. Those responses will be noted in the ordinary council meeting. We have no questions from the public this evening, so I don't propose to open or close public question time. At item 4.3, deputations, there are none. At item 5, items brought forward, similarly there are none. Item 6, reports of committee meetings, there are none. The first report this evening is from the office of the CEO, Mr. Michael Littleton. It is the annual review of Register of Delegations for 2025. It's OC 006 of 25. And just a reminder that debate on this matter was adjourned from the June Ordinary Council meeting. Does anyone have any further questions on that item? None. Thank you, councillors. We shall then move on to item OC 009 of 25. That's the Western Australian Local Government Association Annual General Meeting, City of Canning voting delegates. The officer's recommendation is on page 23 and is also on screen. Well, I will ask between now and next Tuesday's meeting that if any councillor wishes to nominate for those positions and will be at the AGM, to please contact either myself or governance or the CEO, and we'll see if we can get these filled before that meeting. Does anyone wish to ask a question on that item? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. A quick question. Is the City considering submitting any motions for inclusion in the agenda for the WALGA AGM?
No, I don't believe we have, and the agenda closed off some time ago. They call it really early. It's mostly about agenda items, generally for WALGA, items that are of state importance, so not localised to the metropolitan area, but something that will be interest to the sector across the state. That's generally what goes to a WALGA conference, but no, we haven't asked and answer your question. That's right, CEO, isn't it?
That's correct. The vast majority of recommendations may be seen through the zone configuration as well.
But again, if anyone's proposing to go to the AGM, please let us know and we'll put you down as a nomination for a voting delegate. Thanks, councillors. We'll move to OC 01025, the appointment of independent presiding members and deputy presiding member to the Audit and Risk Committee. And as you heard from the CEO, I have declared a conflict, a disclosure of interest in relation to that matter. The recommendation is on page 30 of tonight's agenda and is also on screen. It basically revolves around the selection of the two independent members and the reasons why. Any questions in relation to that item? None. Thank you, councillors. We'll move to 7.2. Ms Keely Haywood, who is here with us this evening, is the Acting Director of Corporate and Commercial. It's CC 013 of 25, the monthly financial report for back in May 2025. Are there any questions in relation to that item? It appears on page 39 of tonight's agenda. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Page 57, the Albany Highway bus lane extension. It's noted in the officer's report that the city met with Centre Group in May 2025. At that particular meeting, did Centre Group indicate any time frame as to the start of construction of that pedestrian overpass?
Ms Hayward, are you able to answer that question, or Director Bride? Thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor. I can't talk to that specific meeting in terms of what was said and what hasn't been said, but in terms of that pedestrian bridge, main roads and the PTA, because the PTA will be responsible for the lifts in that bridge, have both recently agreed to the final set of plans. So we have started the clock with Centre Group. They now have 18 months to construct the bridge, so we've formally given advice to Centre Group in that to direct them to comply with that condition.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, any follow-up? Fine. Any further questions on that item? Thank you, Council. We shall move to CC 014 of 25, the title of the report being Monthly Financial Report for June 2025. The recommendation appears on page 86 of this evening's agenda and is currently on screen. Thank you, Governors. Any questions in relation to the June monthly financial report? Yes, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just referring to the Kent Street Weir, the tender for the playground, will that be presented to Council for its consideration / approval?
Director Bowe.
Yes, it will be, Mr Mayor.
Absolutely, Deputy Mayor.
And just an additional one, Mr Mayor, on page 104, the Canning Town Hall, it says that the city is waiting for advice from someone who isn't the CEO. Can that just be looked into?
Just the CEO's just catching up. Page 104.
So it's apparently we're waiting for direction on scope from a client.
I'm happy to provide some feedback on that.
Just for the sake of the record, the CEO provides some feedback to you offline. Thank you very much. Any further questions? Yes, Councillor Singh.
Just a generic question through you, Mr. Mayor. TPS 21 public open space contributions for Queen's Park and East Kennington in the trust funds, we got one of the highest in this one, almost $7.9 million. My question is, do we have any immediate plans to do something with this money to spend to buy any public open space or anything? These funds are
Look, I'll allow the question, though it's completely irrelevant to the item in front of us, but I will allow the question. Director Bride, thank you.
Through Mr Mayor. Those funds are collected from landowners as they subdivide in that particular area, And the sole purpose for those funds is then to purchase public open space from other landowners that don't have public open space shown on their property. So essentially, there is ins, but there will be outs once landowners subdivide. And when they subdivide and they haven't, or they have got POS on their property that's more than 5% of their land area, that is then used to compensate them for that POS allocation. So it's only there to provide for public open space. It doesn't actually fund capital improvements. It just funds the purchase of land.
Thank you. Thank you, councillor. If there's no further questions on that item, I'll move on to the next, which is CC 015 of 25. The item is the proposed lease for the Canning River Canoe Club, located at 41 Queen's Park Road in Wilson. Any questions in relation to that item, which appears on page 135? Yes, councillor Kunza.
Through you, Mayor Hall. Paragraph 12 speaks to the Tier 1 rate and states that the premise is only going to be used for boat storage. There's no other use that this facility is going to be used for, is that correct?
Ms Hayward, are you able to answer that question?
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor. The thinking behind the Tier 1 fee structure is in relation to the lack of amenity in the building. So there's no ablutions, no kitchen area, no function room that they'll be able to use to derive some additional revenue.
With respect to the fact that it's being used for boat storage only, why, if they're being charged $394 in rent, are they being charged more, $424 for waste, which, given that it's just storage, they're not going to be creating any waste?
Director, is that something that was considered?
Yes, it was, and as I understand it, the Canoe Club were keen on access to disposal, so bins in particular, so they would be generating some form of waste.
Sorry, can you explain further to that? What do you mean they were interested in bins?
They specifically asked a question around bin access, so in exchange for the waste levy, will they have access to bins? And the answer to that is yes.
But that's after being told they're being charged the waste levy.
Yes, that's correct.
Was there an offer for them not to pay the waste levy, given that they're about to take ownership or take a lease for a storage facility?
To my knowledge, no, I don't know that there was that offer made, but I can find out.
Director Driscoll's obviously not here anymore, but over the last few years I've made many mentions of having capacity within this process of offering leases without having to pay a waste charge, and have been told on multiple occasions that there'd be work done. Has any work been done to actually provide that as part of the process?
Thank you. Through you, Mr Mayor, I need to get back to you on that.
We have to take that on notice, I think. I'm not sure if anyone here is absolutely certain that any work's been done on that. Councillor, maybe Ben, just just re-energise that email that you sent through, if you did send one through to Joy, and just we'll start the conversation again if nothing's been worked up. But we'll certainly get back to you with an answer.
Thanks. I've done it on multiple occasions, but I'm happy to do it again.
Thank you. Any further questions, councillors, on that item? Thank you. That being the case, then we'll move to the Directorate of Mr Graham Bride, the Director of Planning and Development. Sorry, there's no reports for that area, so we move to the Directorate of Mr Warren Bowe, the Director of Infrastructure and Environment. First report being IE 011 of 15. It's a review of policy ET 545, the title being Recognition and Protection of Significant Trees, Financial Incentives for Private Significant Trees. The officer's recommendation is on screen and also appears on page 143. Any questions in relation to the report? Councillor Secon.
Thank you. What strategies will be used to inform and incentivise residents to nominate and protect significant trees on private property?
Director Bowe.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We plan to as we've already done, to launch a marketing campaign and promote through our website and our other social media channels the opportunity for private residents to register their significant trees. We did that when we first released the significant tree policy, but certainly now, subject to Council's agreement on providing the incentive through the revised policy, we'll re-energise those communications to the community.
Thank you. Councillor Second, anything further? No? Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Page.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just checking, will there also be some physical resources, like some pamphlets or leaflets to go with that social media campaign?
Have we got that far in the planning yet, Director Bo? Not yet. Yep.
We can consider those, but certainly from our sustainability perspective, Councillor Page, printing collateral, etc., isn't really supported. But we can look into that when we develop the engagement strategy.
Thank you. Councillor Singh.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If a owner registers a significant tree on their private property and takes the benefit of $200 for, let's say, 10 years, then sells the property, the tree stays on the significant register, the new owner comes in and he wants to cut that tree down. What happens in that scenario? Does that new owner needs permission from city because the tree is on the significant register? In such a scenario, what will happen to the tree if the new owner wants to cut it down?
Yes, Director Bo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The same process applies, Councillor Singh, regardless of whether there's a financial incentive or not. If a tree on private property is registered on the significant tree register, to have that removed requires a development approval, which will be referred through to council to make a decision.
Thank you. Anything further? Just had a couple of quick questions, just in relation to, Director, just in relation to paragraph 10 on page 145, and it just talks about the areas that have been counted in and counted out, and I see that rural and residential zones would not be entitled to the financial incentive payment, and the report explains the reasoning behind that. But then in the last sentence, that paragraph, it says, however, the Canning Vale kennel area is zoned residential, so the payment would apply. Can I just ask what was the thinking around that? Because I know the average size of a block of land in there is about 6,000 square metres. I mean, they really are. I know it's zoned residential, but they're rural properties out there. Was there some consideration given specifically to excluding the kennel zone?
Yes, there was, Mr. Mayor, and it did boil down to the R coding there at R2.5, but I wouldn't mind if I could just refer the matter to our Manager of Parks and Environment, Mr. Gorton, or Mr. Bride in relation to the R coding of the property.
And the question would be, why did we settle at R2.5 and not R10 or something that would be more metropolitan, more suburban, rather than R2.5 is practically rural? Mr. Gorton?
Yes, so the properties that are within the Canning Vale rural zone have the statutory requirement to preserve the trees within those properties, whereas the properties that are in the Canning Vale kennel area don't have that statutory requirement. So the incentive is, so because there is that statutory requirement to preserve the trees in that location, we didn't see a need to provide an incentive for those property owners to preserve those trees because of that legal requirement to do so already.
Okay, and just on, back to Director Bowe, I didn't understand the graph on page 146, paragraph 19. I got a bit lost in that, and I wondered, I just couldn't quite make heads or tails out of it. One thing that it did come up, at the top of the table there, the title of those columns, column 3 says annual incentive payment. The second one says yearly arborist report. Are we requiring that those trees are checked by an arborist at a cost of $500 and something annually? Is that, it says yearly?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. No, the intention is just for upon registration of the tree on the significant register that we would enable an arborist report to be undertaken in year 1. So it's not every subsequent year that tree, if it was included, would be inspected by an arborist. It's only the first consideration of its inclusion onto the register.
Okay, that makes sense. And my only other question was in relation to paragraph 24, where it talks about putting the responsibility onto the property owner to advise subsequent property owners about the existence of the tree. And I just wondered with that, are there penalties for not doing so? I mean, that was my first query. Will there be penalties for them not not doing so, and how would that be monitored? I don't want to get down to the operations of it, but I wondered whether even the City of Canning's Intramap system, where there's some opportunity to actually list those significant registered trees on Intramap, so at least that people can make their own, look for the information, and it might be registered somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Mayor. We plan to implement a layer on our Intramap system. In addition to obligating the owner to advise any prospective owner of the existence of a registered tree, we would also capture that registration of that significant tree through the standard orders and requisitions process at the point of sale. So the settlement agent acting for the vendor and or the purchasers would negotiate, and we would be providing that information to them at that time. Similarly, we do in relation to outstanding building orders or health orders or zoning inquiries on that particular property at point of sale. So it's almost a two-step process that we intend to advise prospective owners about the tree's existence.
Oh, that's a good idea. Okay, look, thanks for that, because I actually had paragraph 27 highlighted as well about the orders and requisition statement. I didn't actually know what that was, so I'm glad that's been covered. Thank you. Any further questions on that item? Councillor Singh?
Just a follow-up question, Mr. Mayor. Do we as a council have the legal power to stop people from cutting significant trees on private land, especially when it's not the same person who registered the tree? Talking about the same scenario, if the new owner comes in, buys the property, I don't think the tree will be on the title of the land. The owner could argue, I never knew about the significant tree, and then suddenly he or she requires a development approval to remove the tree. So what happens in that scenario? Can they take us to SAT or court? And just some information on that.
I think there's been a discussion around that scenario, hadn't yet been tested, but Director Bowe, you might be able to provide a bit more context.
Yeah, that's correct, Mr. Mayor. I was going to say that as well, but just in relation to the prospective purchaser not being aware, as I indicated to the Mayor, we anticipate there's in effect a two-pronged approach to ensuring that the prospective owners are aware. One is to obligate the seller or the vendor to advise the purchaser, and the other is through the orders and requisitions process. In relation to the legal ability to stop someone cutting down the tree, what we do have is the council's ability to administer the Planning and Development Act and consider a planning or a development application to remove that tree, and a decision of council then, whether they support the removal or not, would be subject to the state administrative tribunal processes and appeals to that body. But as yet untested, as we're aware.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor?
Just one minor follow-up. I understand the process, Director Bowe, if they make a application to council and council rejects or accepts it. What if the owner never makes an application and just cut the tree down? What can council do in that scenario?
Director?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll probably defer to my colleague, Director Bride, but we believe that the tree is protected under the city's local planning scheme, and that would be classed as an unapproved development or words to that effect, but I might hand over to Director Bride.
Director Bride?
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor, yeah, that's exactly right. So it wouldn't matter who the owner is at the time. If they do take the tree down without a valid development approval, they've committed an offence under the scheme, and they would be prosecuted in that instance. One of their points of defence may be I never knew, but from our perspective, we would treat it as a breach of the town planning scheme and instigate prosecution action.
Thank you. Director, can I ask a question? Do you think we've socialised that point of view enough? I mean, do people widely know that on their own private property they can't remove a tree without a development approval?
Yeah, well, through Mr. Mayor, this is only for those that are actually listed on the significant tree register.
Oh, okay.
So we're not thinking it'll be a very large volume of trees, but we can make that very clear to the.
I think Councillor Singh might have been asking about trees not necessarily on the register. Is that what you're asking, or did I get that wrong?
No, I was asking people who registered the tree, which is a significant tree, because usually they can remove the tree. Most people will be under the impression they can remove a tree on private property. And this is a likely scenario where people will end up cutting trees. And we just need to be ready. Where do we legally stand?
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Thank you very much for that. Any further questions on that item before we move on? Thank you. We shall move then to IE 012 of 15, request for an installation of bench and commemorative plaque at Fern Cove Park in Wilson on behalf of an in memoriam to Russell Gorton for his parents Terry and Gay Gorton. Deputy Mayor Mark Bain has already declared an impartiality interest in relation to this item. Councillors, any questions in relation to the item, which is on page 170? Councillor Secon.
Thank you, Mayor. Does the city have a formal policy or criteria for approving commemorative plaques in public spaces, and how these requests will be managed in the future? Because I've received similar requests in the past. Thank you.
Director Vo.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, we do, Councillor Second. We have two policies, CM 188, which is the subject of this application, and CM 195, which is similar but a different criteria and different qualification threshold. So I'm happy to take that offline and have a chat with you about those two policies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just one, just bringing something to the attention of the city anyway. In paragraph 8, there's a incorrect spelling of a word in there. If that could just be corrected by...
I raised it before the meeting. The same word, yep.
Yes, yeah, Mr Gorton brought it up with me as well. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Any further questions on the item? Thank you. That being the case, we shall move to IE 013 of 15. Should that be 25? No, 15? It is 15. I think it should be 25, shouldn't it? And the one preceding that, we'll just make sure that that's correct in the agenda. It probably is. Request for tender RFT 06/2025, air conditioning and mechanical extraction equipment services and maintenance. It's a matter relating to a tender. It's on page 185 of tonight's agenda and is also on screen. Council, are there any questions in relation to this tender process? There are none, thank you. We shall then we turn to IE 014 of 25, request for tender 042025, Whaleback Food and Beverage and Alfresco Building Renewal Works. The officer's recommendation, parts 1 and 2 are on screen, and they also appear on page 191 of tonight's agenda. Any questions in relation to the Whaleback Golf Course matter? No questions there. Thank you, councillors. That being the case, we shall turn to item 8, notices of motion for consideration at the next ordinary council meeting. There are none. Urgent business, there is none. Confidential matters, we do have a confidential matter to discuss. I might just ask those in the public gallery. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sean. I've got IE 015 of 25.
We just deal with it
That matter has gone. I was going straight to the ordinary council meeting, so later on. Okay, got it. Yep. Thank you. There being no further business, councillors, I declare the agenda briefing closed. The time now being exactly 6:30 p.m. And thank everyone for their attendance this evening. Thank you.